Hi guys, welcome to Simple Programming. In this video, let us see how to set up a Spring Boot admin server and client. Spring Boot admin is used to monitor and consolidate all the metrics in any Spring Boot application into a single UI. Every Spring Boot application has different metrics made available for developers to analyze and monitor the application. In order to use it, you need to add the actuator dependency, and most of the matrices are enabled by default. So here is a list of matrices that is made available by Spring Boot for you to make use of when you add the actuator dependencies. We have the environment, we have the health information, we have an information about the application, there is a logger, then you can see the mappings, different request mappings in your application. You can even shut down the application gracefully using this shutdown endpoint, but this is not enabled by default. It is, you have to manually enable this, and there's a lot of things, right? So these are different metrics every Spring Boot application will throw out when it is running. But these metrics are shared by each instance. That is, you can view their endpoints and metrics by accessing every instance individually and then accessing each of these metrics individually. Now, do you see the problem here? If your microservice architecture, say, spans like 40 instances, how many instances will you go and check manually? It would become a pain in the neck for anyone to check and monitor this kind of architecture. This problem is actually solved by the Spring Boot admin. Yes, Spring Boot admin consolidates all these matrices from all the instances and will make it available in a single UI page. Let us go and create a Spring Boot application app and then try to wire the instances to the Spring Boot admin. Let us go ahead and create our Spring Boot admin server application. For this, click on File, New, Spring, Start a Project. Give a name for your project. Click on Next. Click on Next and search for admin. You will have two dependencies. One is for the server and the other is a client. So your server will be your Spring Boot admin server project, and the client dependency is supposed to be added in all your dependent instances. So select this and click on Finish. I have already created a Spring Boot admin project here. Let us take a look at the pom.xml of the Spring Boot admin. Here is the pom.xml of the Spring Boot admin, and you could see here I have only two dependencies here, nothing else. So one of the dependencies is the Spring Boot starter server, which means this app is going to behave as a Spring Boot admin server, and the other is Eureka client. We need to register the Spring Boot admin to our Eureka server. Let us go and take a look at our Spring application.java. In the Spring application, we have enable Spring Boot application, enable admin server, and enable Eureka client. At the rate of enable admin server, make sure that this project behaves as an admin server for collecting the metrics and monitoring the instances. In the application.yaml, I have mentioned only the server, the application name, and the Eureka URL to register the Spring admin as a client to the Eureka server. Let us go and take a look at one of the clients and take a look at the dependencies in it. For this, let us take a look at the admission service that we created in our previous example. So let me click on the pom.xml. So in the pom.xml, I have added only one dependency here, that is starter client. The server had Spring Boot admin starter server dependency in it, whereas the client applications will have Spring Boot admin starter client in it. There is one thing that you need to take care in the application.yaml. You need to mention this management.endpoint.web.exposure.include as star. That means all the metrics will be made available. In our previous Strix example, we had this metrics as Strix.stream. So this means that this application will only stream the Strix metrics. But for now, let us stream everything so that the Spring admin console will show every metrics available in the Spring Boot application to you by default. So how does this communication happens? Because the Spring Boot admin server is going to be a client in Eureka, it will automatically register all the instances available in the Eureka, and it will monitor and gather the metrics automatically for you. If your project is not using Eureka server, you can still use the admin server to gather the metrics about your Spring Boot applications. For that, you need to add this key boot.admin client API path. In this API path, you are going to give the path of the Spring Boot admin server. You need to add this to all the different clients so that if Eureka is not present, this path will make sure that the clients will share the metrics and monitoring information to the Spring Boot admin. Alright. So now let us go and start the Spring Boot admin. We are going to start the Eureka, we are going to start the config server, and then we are going to start the admin service. Alright, so the servers are up and running. Let us go and take a look at our Eureka server first, and then let us move on to the admin server console. Our Eureka server is up and running, and we could see here our admin service, our admission service, and our cloud config server has been successfully registered here. Let us move on to the admin server console. The admin server is running in localhost 7700, and this is the actual console that is available for you to manage the matrices and monitor all the instances. So for now, we have the admin service running here, the admission service, and the cloud config server. Let me click on the admission service. Inside this admission service, if you have multiple instances, all these instances will be made available here. Before we click on this, let me show you the wallboard. The wallboard shows all the applications currently running with the instances grouped together. When you click on the service, it shows all the matrices now being fetched from the Spring Boot application and consolidated in a single UI. So you could see here the information about the application, the process, the thread information, the memory information, all the things in here. When I click on environment, you'll be able to see the list of properties that are available as environment variables. So you could see all our properties listed now in this page. Then you have the loggers where you can go and change your logging information. Let's say I want to change the logging information on, let's say I want to change the login information to warning. I want to change it to debug. So I want to change it to error. You can still do it. You can do all these things directly from this console. Then you have the JMX information. Then you have the threads information. You could see here the threads information is now getting displayed in real time. Then you have the mappings information, the request mapping information about your the Spring Boot application, and then you have the HTTP trace here. Then you have the heap dumps. Then you have any scheduled task information here. For now, we don't have any scheduled tasks. To show you this HTTP trace, right, let me quickly open up my Postman. Alright, my Postman is here. I'm going to access the admin service by sending a request. Let me click on send. Okay, we have got the response back. Now let's go to our admin console and take a look at the HTTP trace. You could see here the HTTP trace about the request is displayed here. This will give you a better way to monitor your application. When you click on one of the records available here, it gives you a JSON with every information available with respect to that request. This is a new version of Spring Boot admin server. In the old version, you don't have graphs in the old version. The old version just shows the information and the metrics in it. Whereas in the new version, you can see a graph representation of the threads, health information, etc. So this kind of UI is completely new to Spring Boot. With this, we have come to the end of this video. I hope you would have liked this video. Please subscribe, guys, and watch out for more such videos. Thank you.